What's up? Welcome back to the channel. Have you guys had a chance to play around with this little thing yet? I've been excited about this. It's been around for a while. It's that Damiki kind of ball head minnow type of deal, typically associated with forward-facing sonar, but not exclusively to that. You can actually throw this off the bank if you're pond hopping, or if you just locate some fish on your side scan, you can cast it and work it down. But it's a ball head and it's a fluke style bait. Well, I just got some of these baits from Gambler Lure Company. These are the FFS 4-inch minnow. I've got some 3-inch. They got a bunch of different cool colors. This color is called the Gill Shad. And I'm excited about this. As you can tell, I've just been catching some fish on it. And I'll have a video coming out real soon. But I just wanted to share this with you guys if you haven't tried it out yet. I highly recommend picking some up because it's something that appeals to pressured fish. A lot of these fish in our lakes have been hammered. We're coming into winter time and they've just seen a lot of baits. And even during winter, they're going to see a lot of A-rigs, you're going to see a lot of spoons, a lot of blade baits and things. And this is something that is super, super finessey. It's super sneaky and it will get you bites. I was out fishing yesterday and I was catching some fish on this and I thought I'm gonna switch up to a spoon just to see if they'll react to a spoon. So relocated to school and I started throwing a spoon. I got just a couple bites on a spoon and I threw it for quite a while and I'm like, that's kind of strange. I thought these fish were really fired up and they would hit a spoon, but just out of curiosity I picked this back up and I think the second or third cast I caught one. And then I made a couple more casts and I caught another one. So they were kind of ignoring the spoon, but they would hit this. Now this is the minnow, the 4-inch minnow. Like I said, they come in a 3 and a 4-inch. And it's got really, really soft plastic, but it's durable. And it looks like a fluke, you know, for the most part, but it's got this tail, this little flipper on the tail. And that really allows it to glide. It just encourages it to glide. It catches water. And as you shake your rod tip, that's part of the technique. You can shake your rod tip, you can see what that tail is going to do. So the whole thing with this is casting out to fish. It really helps if you can see them and you just want to keep your bait right above them, just a couple feet above them. And you kind of just shake your rod tip a little bit, just shaky, or you can kind of pull it, let it fall, kind of pull it and let it fall, or just a straight retrieve works as well. Another way I was catching them was more Damiki style, where I'd catch one and pull the school towards the boat and then they would kind of hang out underneath the boat and I was able to drop this right to them and I caught some really good fish doing that. It's amazing how they get on the bottom and you can't see them a lot of times. But when you catch one on this, you pull them off the bottom and you're like, wow, even with this technology that we have, you know, with the side scan, the down scan, and the forward-facing sonar, the fish can still get on the bottom and you have a really, really hard time seeing them. A lot of times you can't see them. So it's cool to just kind of mope this. You can mope this along the bottom. You know, Gussie made this technique kind of popular. Jacob Willer, Patrick Walters, a lot of the professionals have been using this. It's really popular in the Bull Shoals area, Table Rock, any clear lake, spots, smallmouth, largemouth, it doesn't matter. It's gotten really popular over the last year or so. I believe it was, I don't know that it was a Japanese technique. You know, I used to do this a long time ago. We used to just take a fluke and put it on a ball head and throw it out, reel it in, and it worked. But just like everything else, new and improved techniques come along, your swim baits come along, and grubs, just different things you get away from this, but it still works. And let me show you the Jig Head that Gamblers come out with. It doesn't have to be Gambler, but this is just you know, I was throwing just a run-of-the-mill Jig Head when I first started doing this, and I was having problems seeing it. I could see it a little bit, but boy, it was really, I had to really focus. You know, I'm getting up in age, y'all. I mean, I don't have like 20-year-old eyeballs, so it's a little bit harder to see this stuff. And I was really struggling to see my bait. Well, I got some of these Jig Heads, and they're the FFS Jig Head, nothing fancy. They come in a couple different colors. I mean, I personally like the lead color. I think it looks more natural. Sometimes I think white is too bright and it scares them away, but they've got several different sizes. They've got an 8, this is a 3/16, and I think they've got a quarter, maybe 3/8, maybe a half, I don't know, but they got several different sizes, but I was using the 1/8 and the 3/16. But this jig head, first of all, it's got a really nice hook. It's thin wire, maybe close to medium, super sharp. And that, I think that is key to have. You don't want a really beefy hook because you're fishing this on spinning rod with light line, and a lot of times you're just kind of letting that fish take it and you're pulling into the fish. But it's got the right size hook, the right diameter, super sticky sharp. It's got a really good keeper. I caught on one bait, I think I caught like 25 fish on one bait. So this keeper holds that bait on there really good. It's got that vertical line tie. Actually, it looks like it's back at an angle slightly, but that right there, you want something that's vertical. It's very important that this bait is sitting in the water horizontal. That's totally part of the technique. And you want to throw it on a loop knot, which I'll tie a loop knot here in a second just to show you the loop knot that I've been using. That's a very critical part of this that not very many people talk about. But the head design, this head design really shows up on the forward-facing sonar. There was a night and day difference between just a regular ball head jig head and this. Like I said earlier, I was having trouble seeing the ball head. This thing was twice as bright. It was just a really solid return, had a little more glow, and I could see it out an extra probably 20 feet. I'm still using the LVS 32, the Garmin livescope. So if you guys are using the 34, it's really going to pop. But it's got these little ridges. You can see these little ridges on there. And if you look at it this way, you can tell that it's got that kind of conical shape, and then the bottom is flat. So it's designed to just reflect the sonar beam. Does a really good job, and this flat bottom really aids in that moping. If you want to drag this thing along the bottom, it's going to come up over stuff, or a ball head's going to kind of roll over, or even a minnow shaped head, something that's more vertical. That kind of stuff has a tendency to roll over. Well, if you've got a flat bottom, it's going to stay upright. It's going to keep that hook up away from the cover and up off the bottom. You're going to get snagged a whole lot less. But something about this design, it's the little ridges and it's the triangular shape, the angles. It really reflects that sonar, that forward-facing sonar, and makes it glow. It's got the big eyeballs too. I'm a firm believer in a big eyeball. I think those fish are sitting there staring at it. They swim up to it. They're looking at it. And something about that eyeball, it just gives it more of a natural look. And that can be the difference in the fish coming up, looking at it and swimming away, or a fish taking it. So definitely pick up a few of these. If you guys are forward-facing sonar, Devil Scope 666, whatever you want to call it, it's something that's here to stay. I've embraced it. I don't fish with it all the time, but there are certain times of the year where I do like to get out deep and try to find fish. And it's just it cuts down the learning curve, and it actually cuts down you're fishing in productive water more often. You're throwing at productive cover. You can see the fish. So it's something that's got to be embraced. I mean, I know there's haters and all that, but whatever. I understand both sides of it. Like I said, I would just as much rather go down the bank throwing a spinnerbait, a frog, or punching or something. But there are times when you have to get out there and use the technology. It's here. You might as well embrace it. Might as well lose it. Price point's kind of expensive, but stuff is starting to come down. But let's tie a loop knot, because I really think that that's a critical part of this system. Okay, hopefully you can see this. This is just like some 15-pound mono. I was using this for a Carolina rig. So the loop knot I've been tying, I think it's called a no-slip loop knot. And hopefully this will actually go through here. If I can get it through there. It's kind of big for that eye. This thing's made for like 8-pound test or 10-pound test. And I think there's a hole there somewhere. Okay, it wasn't just me. There was actually some paint in the eye. I'm like, is my eyesight that bad? So you're just gonna make an overhand knot like this. Overhand knot, pretty straightforward. And I kind of pull it, I don't know, semi-taut. Then you take your tag in, you just go through the eye, get it through there. Okay, there we got it through. Now I'm gonna come back up here, and I've got this loop that I've created. So I'm gonna run the tag line through this loop, and it's gonna look like so. You don't want it to be twisted like that. That's what you're looking at right there. So I'm gonna tighten this up slightly, and I'm gonna slide this little overhand knot down towards the line tie. So we're looking at that right there. Now I'm gonna pinch that loop right here with my fingers, and then I'm gonna take this tag. We've got your main line right here, we got our tag right here, and I'm gonna wrap it like 4 or 5 times. So above the overhand knot. So we're just gonna go 4 times. It's 2, or say 3, say 4. And then what you're gonna have, if I can show it to you here, it's still looking like that. There's your little hole right there. That's where your overhand knot is in that loop. So you're gonna take your tag line and you're gonna run it right through both of those, okay? So we've done that. Now, I'm gonna moisten it. Good old natural saliva. And we're gonna pull, I like to pull this tag and slide this thing down. So it's kind of you kind of got to work with both hands to do it. Sliding it down, and you can adjust this right before you really cinch it up. So we're gonna pull, and then when we get to this point, I'm just gonna pull this, our main line, pull our tag line, and we've created a loop knot. It's a little bit, actually that's pretty good. So now this is what we're left with right here. We've got this tag, so we're gonna cut this tag line off. Grab my knife. Of course I didn't bring my knife or my clippers or anything like that. Right back. Okay, I got this sucker cut off. It's not perfect, but that loop knot is an integral part of this. You see how that thing hangs pretty much horizontal now? What that does is when you're shaking the rod and you've got that loop knot, it allows this thing to really swing, gives it a lot of action, and if you're just dropping it below the boat, it gives it that horizontal presence. That's really, really important because the bait fish sits horizontal in the water. And let's rig up one of these baits to show you what it looks like. It's got this keeper design, so you know, one of the best ways to do this is I just kind of put it on there, and actually I'm gonna bite that off. I'd rather do it with scissors, just so it kind of bumps up against that head and gives it more natural look. But before you run a hook in that, just kind of set it on here like this. So I'm wanting the bend to come out about right there. So I just kind of look at it, I get a good idea of it, and you just come back here. You can actually take the hook point and mark it or whatever, but I just kind of eyeball it. I've been doing this for a little while, so I usually get it pretty close. But just run it straight up through there, go to about right here, and come out in the back. This is a really good color too. It's hard to tell online what the colors are gonna look like, but this color is called Gill Shad. It's pretty sweet. It's the one I've been catching my fish on. So you're just gonna run that sucker right up there like that. Snugs up pretty perfect. And like I said, I caught a bunch of fish on one minnow, but that's your bait. Of course it's gonna hang down like that, but when you get this in the water, this plastic is real kind of buoyant, and it's gonna sit horizontal like that. You can see that tail. So man, try this. If you guys haven't tried this, it is a lot of fun. It's a great alternative to the A-rig and the spoon fishing and stuff, and the fish get in a funk. They will definitely bite this thing. I had some pretty amazing strikes. They would just come up and just smash this. But that looks good. See how that matches up really good? It's like paired up. It's one good solid, I mean, that's minnowy. You get that 3-inch, like here's the 3-inch. It's even smaller. It looks super good. That's the one I've been kind of catching my fish on, but here's the difference. Here's your 3-inch and your 4-inch. The other color I've got is called Magic, and it's a good looking color too. It's kind of a baby bass color. They have several more colors, but more of a baby bass. So here's the Gill Shad, a little bit different. Bunch of good colors, and you know, you don't have to buy the Gambler ones, but there's several out there. I've fished the forward facing minnow by Yum, and it was good, but definitely that Jig Head shows up. So I'm kind of, if I'm gonna try something now for the first time, I want to kind of get something that's gonna aid me in it. You don't want to buy like something that's half-assed, because then you don't really like the technique because it's not working like you want it to. So that's why I did this video, folks. It's a technique you guys should try, especially you bank fishermen. You're fishing ponds, man. This is a great way to get that 1/8 ounce and get that 4-inch minnow, that 3-inch minnow, and throw it around and cast it around. You're gonna catch a lot of fish, but it's a technique I'm excited about, and I just wanted to share with you the new Gambler product, because I think it's gonna make it work like it's supposed to. So thumbs up if you appreciate this content, and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Till next time.